So I was telling you about the audience, some founders in residency, some still thinking about their first steps in the community that we have called Before Day Zero. So very excited to hear from you. If we look at the last 4 or 5 years, we talk a lot about hyper growth and more importantly, efficient hyper growth. And both from a founder's perspective and the investor's perspective, that's sort of the holy grail, right? What kind of companies can hit inflections, but also efficiently. And a couple of weeks back, we had Zepto. Of course, there the economics will still evolve. But, that's one story which stands out in the world of e-commerce or quick commerce. Another story that stands out, and now everybody's familiar with Jar, so I don't have to say much, is Jar, right, in the world of fintech. And including with something that was always out there, right? Micro savings was always out there, it's one of those things which seems very obvious now, but at that time, one can scratch your head and say, why weren't more people looking at this opportunity and as a way to make something go viral? So very, very interested to unpack some of this with you, Nishchay. First things, I think everybody knows Jar, but I don't think everybody understands where it is today. So maybe we can start with, tell us, what is the scale of Jar today? How many numbers, whatever you can share. I know some of it might be confidential, but I gather you're profitable. Yeah. So I would love to first start with, where is Jar today?
Sure. It was not long back when I was part of many such programs. We picked up a lot of brains from a lot of founders, investors, advisors, some of the policymakers and all. It's a long journey. It's been a good journey for us so far. We completed 4 years last month. We have about 11 million users on the platform today. We turned profitable recently. It's been 3 months.
Keep clapping.
Vision is to stay profitable forever. From a impact standpoint, we have users across 11,000 pin codes. We are the number one merchant on UPI for autopay. Every 1 in 4 transactions on UPI autopay is done by us.
This is crazy. Well, you were there at the Arkham event last week.
Yes.
Nandan Nilekani did a whole slide on this. I had no idea also that 1 in 4 autopay payments is in the country is Jar.
Yeah, for us to happen, a lot of things had to fall in place. If I had started probably 5 years back or 10 years back, probably it wouldn't have been possible. A lot of things had to come in place. The whole Jandan, Aadhaar, UPI, cell phones, Geo, everything had to happen for me to come and play my role. PhonePe had to be at the scale, Paytm had to be at their scale, Google Pay had to be at their scale, and all of those things. It was the stage was set. If I had started this 10 years, so timing matters a lot, to be very honest. And for us, the genesis was COVID. We went through our own fair share of pain and suffering during COVID. I was part of this company called Bounce, where we were building a mobility platform, dockless scooter sharing platform. We had like 35,000 vehicles across 12 cities. We had scaled pretty well. We were clocking 180,000 rides a day. We are the fastest growing mobility startup in the world. Things were falling in place and COVID happened and we went from 180,000 rides to 0 rides overnight. We had 35,000 vehicles on our books, crazy amount of debt. So we had to figure out how to get off our books. We had like 6,000 people on our payroll. We had to figure out how to ease that and make sure that we survive. During all of those things, I saw personally how cash flows were stuck for common man. A lot of people who run shops. I come from a typical Baniya household. So all my relatives run small mom and pop stores, small businesses. Everyone's cash flow was stuck because no one was able to do their business. And I personally handed out help to some of them. And what struck me was like you worked all your life and couldn't manage 3 months of cash flow disruption. You don't have access to credit and you're not insured. And that was the genesis of Jar for us. And
Interesting.
We started with a simple philosophy that we'll build a simple financial well-being platform. It's not just going to be about savings or not just about some investment so that we get to crazy returns, or it's not going to be about credit, it's not going to be about insurance, but it's going to be about everything. That's the
product. So maybe that's a good segue. And actually, let's go all the way back. So did you always know you wanted to be a founder? Tell us a bit about your journey. I know you spent some time in the US and came back. how, when you look back, what is the arc of your career?
Personally, I never thought I will be a founder. If you had asked me 10 years back, what does a VC stand for? I would have said video conference, to be very honest. I literally knew, literally, this was 10 years back.
We do a lot of that actually.
This was literally 10 years back. I never thought I will be a founder. I knew nothing about this world, to be very honest. I come from a small town, did engineering in my hometown. I did engineering in my hometown because there was a good engineering college. If there was a good commerce college, probably I would have studied commerce. So it was pure accident that I ended up being an engineer. Got into IT. I was working with Honeywell Aerospace. I was in US for a very long time with them. I was working out of the defense and space site. It was fun. We worked on some of the really fun projects, including Lockheed Martin's F-35s and all of those things. It was fun. I came back to India in 13. Simple reason. Wanted to get married to my girlfriend. She is a doctor and she said she will work only in India. Again, it was someone else took the call that I should come back to India. It was never that. And in 14, 15 is when my childhood friends, they started a company called Wicked Ride, which was into premium and luxury motorcycle rentals. There was one change I personally experienced when I moved back from US to India. It was a reverse cultural shock to a certain extent. When you go to US, you will have a cultural shock, no doubt. But when you come back, you'll have some sort of a reverse cultural shock. They still joke about Sundar Pichai that when he moved to US, dollar was 30 rupees. So whatever he buys today is still multiplied by 30 and think I'm paying so much. For me, it was the other way. I had gotten myself so comfortable in US. When I came back, if I saw a t-shirt when I came back to India, it was 50 rupees a dollar. Yeah. So if I see a t-shirt for 500 rupees, I mentally think, oh, it's $10. It's okay. Yeah. So that comfortable I had gotten. It was little irritating in the beginning days with the noise and all of those things. You will experience that's a part of life. You can't help it. But very soon, all those irritation points started looking like a business opportunity. Like I wanted to do this, it's not available. Oh, it's a business opportunity. I wanted this, it's not there. I wanted this service, it's not there. It's a business opportunity. And when Wicked Ride, my brothers started, my friends and brothers started, it was a luxury motorcycle rental. And I was talking to them about resource optimization of making sure that how hourly rentals can be built and there is no existing software available. There are some hotel softwares which is optimized for 24-hour cycle, not hourly cycle. So how do you look at Pentium core? How is it optimized to distribute thread, multi-thread, all of those things? Like how to build that in such a way that you can start allocating vehicles on an hourly basis. So that day they came back, my friends came back to my home, said, quit your job, you have to join us today. Like we are not leaving till you resign today. So I did resign. I went back to office on Monday. I said, I'm between projects. Within the same project, I was between projects. So I said, give me early release. They said no. I left my laptop in the office that day. I absconded basically. It was Accenture, so it won't hurt them. So, so I joined them. From there, we started building, and from there we figured out mobility is a much bigger problem. So we pivoted from luxury motorcycle rentals to mobility, and things changed. From there, we raised over $250 million, and a lot of things happened.
And that became Bounce.
Yeah, that became. But the first 4 years was real struggle, to be very honest. Burned through savings, credit score went to negative, car got repoed. Survived on Maggie, shared one beer between 4 guys, did everything. But the 4 years was an absolute grunt. It kind of showed what you are really made of. But after that, we raised 250. We built and scaled everything to that level where it was 180,000 rides a day. New York Times covered us that we are the fastest mobility startup in the world and all of those things. And 2 months later, COVID happened and everything crashed. It was quite a roller coaster ride.
And it's interesting. I think Vivek is a cousin of yours.
Yes.
And would you describe this as you were part of the founding team, and you was observing him? Well, I'm thinking he was the CEO, right?
Yeah.
And you knew him. You guys grew up together.
Yeah.
How did that influence your decision to become a founder? What did you learn from that?
To be very honest, for us it was never startup. When we were doing Wicked Ride, it was a business for us. And the external world started calling us startup, and we are like, okay, yeah, we are startup. To be very honest,
he gave us 250 million. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the very initial days, one of the VCs came to our office. They asked us the cohorts, the MTU, DTU, and all of those things. We knew nothing. Then we asked them, explain me what you're even speaking about. Then he told me, he said, I understand these things and we track these things and we showed them our dashboards. Like, how you track everything? You just don't know the nomenclature.
Call it that.
You don't know what to call it as. But it was fun learning. But when we were starting JAR also, it was startup. When we started JAR, we knew the game. We had played the game for 7 years, so we knew what we were getting into JAR. But it was never. I never thought I will become a founder. It was all the decision was taken in less than one day.
So go to that. So I mean, what I'm hearing is you saw this very up close, right?
Yeah.
Especially some family member and you were part of building it, and then COVID. It prepared you mentally for, I think,
Yeah.
what the ride would be like.
Yeah.
But you didn't want to be a founder still
Yeah.
at that point.
That time, me and Vivek were discussing. I and Misbah, we know each other. My co-founder, we know each other for 7-8 years by then, and he had just exited out of his last startup, Mars Play, had sold it to one more startup. So he started stationing in Bangalore. We used to catch up quite often. I was talking to him about the kind of observation I had, and I gave. In fact, we were catching up for coffee, and one of my cousin messaged me that, can you send 25,000? I sent 25,000. I was talking to him like, dude, back home, none of my cousins are actually doing anything with their money. They earn, they spend. They invest in some random non-liquid assets like real estate and all. When they're in real need of cash, they have no such easy access. And it's like that same case in my hometown, and that's what we discussed over that coffee that day. And that night, I was talking to Vivek. I said, I was with Mispa today. We discussed this, and it looks like great opportunity. And Vivek said, you should start. Like, you resign today.
And what did you define that opportunity?
Huh?
What did you define that opportunity in your head at that point?
What we felt is financial services as such is very pretentious. Someone has to simply dumb it down. That was our simple, like, everyone, Indians have the intention to save. The agency is very high. The means is very tough. There's too much of friction. So if you dumb down the financials and let everyone save. That was a one-line mission statement that we had. And I told this to Vivek, I think, yeah, this can be done. You should build it. And I quit there, and we met one of the early angel investors of Bounce the next day. He said, I will give you money. And we decided that we'll build something, and we got our first check in next 24 hours. That's how JAR happened.
Wow, what a story. And so today you look back and everybody can say, oh, JAR worked because of the simplicity, taking out the cognitive load from saving and investing. Was all of what we look at now, how much of it was clear in your head then?
A lot of, because when I was with Bounce, I started as a head of engineering. Then the next leg was I was heading supply. Once we became mobility company, someone had to set up factory, manufacturing, assembly, on-field maintenance, and all of those things. I become part of the supply, head of supply. And later I started looking at means to monetize the platform. We had about 7 million captive audience. We thought we can become Gojek of India. And we started with advertisements. We sold ads to a ton of companies. And I was trying to sell ads to IDFC. So figured out their CACs are way too high. So I told them that forget ads, I will bring you customers. And that's how the first brush with financial services. And with banks, it takes 6 to 9 months to pen down anything. Meanwhile, I went and closed a deal with ICICI Lombard for insurance and a couple of other fintechs for loans and all.
This is still while you're at Bounce?
With Bounce. This was all for Bounce. And Lombard, what we did was we had about 11,000 Kirana stores which were acting like 7,000 Kirana stores which were acting like last mile touch point where you can leave the vehicle. And we thought we'll convert each one of those Kirana touch point as a piece ops to sell auto insurance. Auto insurance penetration is still 31% and it's a mandatory product. So we partnered with ICICI Lombard. They came on board and they went and trained the Kirana stores. In the first week, they trained about 300 Kirana stores and they were able to sell some 24 policies, and it made no sense to me. I said, I will come with you guys on training, what you say, and you find this ICICI Lombard guys in all suit talking to a regular Kirana store, explaining what is TP, OD, comprehensive and all. Like, भाई ऐसा नहीं समझा रहे. मैंने बोला, सर मान लो आप गाड़ी चला रहे हो, जाके आपने किसी को टोक दिया. Guys, comfortable with Hindi?
Yeah.
जाके किसी को टोक दिया तो थर्ड पार्टी इंश्योरेंस है तो इंश्योरेंस वाला उसका नुकसान भर देंगे. अगर आपका भी नुकसान हुआ तो कॉम्प्रहेंसिव है तो उसका और आपका दोनों को भर देंगे. अगर कोई जाके लाइट खंबे को टोक दिया तो ओडी ओन डैमेज है तो कवर कर देगा इंश्योरेंस वाला. दैट वीक वी सोल्ड अबाउट 280 पॉलिसीज.
Nice.
after that training. So we knew there was a gap in, there was a pretension, there was some level of assuming that the way I am is the rest of the world is. So we figured out uh, historically financial services were sold in person. So banks had to optimize for their time. So they only sold it to rich people. So when you are selling it to rich people, you need to dress a certain way and you have to talk a certain way. And with the evolution of tech, you can reach the last of the last guy in the last village of India in same moment that time you launch in Bangalore, right? So you need to redefine how you reach out to people. How do you simplify it? That one training session that I attended with them was probably the reason why we started Jar. I knew that had to be, whatever I did with that Kirana store guy had to be done across every asset class, every financial services. And that's how Jar happened.
That's very fascinating. We don't realize this, right? But maybe even when financial institutions are going to a lesser value customer, they're probably not unlearning the way they've been trained to dress, talk, etc. And so the jargon continues, and it actually hurts conversion.
Yeah. For example, we don't call it portfolio in our platform. We call it locker, because that's where common man keeps his money. You need to culturally optimize when you are serving for massive India, right? You need to culturally optimize beyond language. What I mean by beyond language is, say someone like Big Bazaar, more, they had cracked this really well. What I mean by that is, say there is a festival called Bihu in Assam. The entire more store becomes Bihu. But you go to a store in Rajasthan or Bangalore at the same time, business is as usual. So they know how to culturally change their entire persona for very specific topical regions. That had to be brought to the tech world also. You can't, what wealth means to an Andhra guy is different for what wealth means to a Gujarati guy. What it like, if you ask someone from,
Actually, tell me about that.
see, for example, someone in say tier 2, tier 3 town, if you ask me how much money, if you need to get like retired today, you will be fine. Let's say 2 crores, more than enough. You ask that 2 crores to Bangalore guy, like 2 crores mein kya hoga, kuch nahi hoga. Like the same thing, if you ask a Mumbai guy, 2 crores also looks penny. Like you have to live in a matchbox, basically in Bangalore. So definition of wealth changes from region to region. So you need to not just language with from a concept, from a standpoint of language, you need to localize, but also from a culturally you need to localize.
Interesting. So far, so it seems like there was this fire that was burning because of these things you had seen at Bounce with respect to how financial services were made more complicated. And then second trigger was when you actually were thinking of talking to your cousin, and we met Misbah, and you guys had the same experience. So that explains why you started Jar in the middle of COVID. So now walk us through, what did you guys do in the first 2 or 3 months? Like what did you consider an MVP? How did you do user research, etc.?
Luckily, running Bounce for 7 years, we had done all mistakes that could have been done. We hired some really kick-ass engineers who worked on IBM Watson to build something for us. We commissioned and we paid them a lot of money without us knowing what we have to build, how complex that system should be, how it should interact with the rest of the things and all. We went and hired someone who was working on Unity and all of these things from a mobile standpoint. We spent a lot of money. We did not emphasize on distribution from day zero. We did not emphasize on ragtag team and all of those things. So we did everything right here on day zero. The team was very simple. It was me, Misbah, and no one else in the company. We hired one backend developer. We didn't even know how good or bad he was. We hired one front-end developer. We didn't know how good or bad he was. We had a friend who was a product manager. We did not hire them. They were all freelancers. There was one product manager whom we knew for a couple of years. He had a very good sensibility, and he had one disciple of him who is a product designer. So 4 guys, we flew them down, put them in a HSR Airbnb. We built and launched the product in 2 months. And we paid all of that money from our pockets, because the early investor who did all of those things, we had still not registered the company. So it took a while for us to register the company and then get the money into the company and pay them. So till then we were paying from our own pockets.
Yeah, but most of us look at Jar as like that first auto roundup or micro savings thing. So was that clear in your mind, or was that a result of, because
No,
You start with other ideas?
no, that was very clear to us. The idea of Roundup also was like when we were trying to do insurance in bounds,
Hmm.
we are trying to sell insurance to common man also. We are trying to see if you take a ride today, say if the ride was 62 rupees, we are like wanted to take that 8 rupees, we charge you 8 rupees on your card or bank account and take that 8 rupees and park it aside until it becomes 300 rupees so that we can buy a health insurance for you. That was the early thought process, but when you're running a company of that size and all, it's very difficult to fight for.
So
Uh,
what was the MVP of Jar?
MVP was very simple. Whenever you go and spend anything anywhere, you get a text message. You read the text message, round it up to nearest 10. And like if you have spent 10 times today and that round up amount adds up to say 32 rupees, end of the day, we debit 32 rupees from your bank account through autopay. We were the first guys to adopt autopay in India.
Got it. And I guess you mentioned earlier that maybe the likes of Perfios and aggregators, those layers were there, so the timing was also critical because
Yes,
you
yes.
could not have done it 3 years
Yeah,
earlier.
you couldn't have done
Very
previous.
interesting, yeah. Um, you mentioned when we were chatting for a few minutes earlier that you had a Notion doc.
Yeah.
And did I hear you right? You said that whatever you'd written down at that time, you've stuck to the same
Yeah.
strategy.
We were able to crystallize our thought process of how we are going to build Jar very clear. We had put on a doc and it was we had used our emojis and everything and clicked through things in the Notion doc.
This is what time framing? Like 3 months into the journey?
No. Before
Day one.
entering the company.
Okay. So you had written down not just a vision, but sort of a step-by-step.
Yeah, it was a 9-pager
Yeah.
Notion doc that we had written. Each page had only like 15, 20 lines. It's not like pages, and you can go through the entire doc in like less than 5 minutes. But it were clearly written. This was the problem. This is the persona of the user. The reason why he doesn't save is this. We'll let him save in this manner. Once he starts saving, we'll do this, and later we will do this.
And do this is going to credit or
From savings we'll go to credit, and from credit we'll go to insurance. And everyone asks, why not credit and insurance together? It's not that simple. You have to think from a very anthropological standpoint. You can't sell an insurance to a burning house. If the house is intact is when you can sell an insurance. उसको लगना चाहिए कि मेरे पास कुछ है जिसको मुझे बचाना है. So when you have no savings, you can't sell insurance to that person. So you should feel that I have something going on in my life. So that's where savings come. Now, when something is going on, you need to protect and make sure that it keeps going on. That's where credit comes in. Because if you don't have access to credit, you keep dipping into your savings. Your savings will never compound, it will never grow.
That's interesting, yeah.
And last leg was insurance, where now you are in a comfortable position. That's why insurance companies use fear mongering to sell. They will show you a 40-year-old man jumping into canal to swim because he has insurance and he doesn't care. I have to worry so much about his family. So they established so many things in that small. First, they show age so that it shows that you have accumulated something. You have something to lose. And that's the time to hit the nail to make sure that he buys insurance. So it is a journey that we had to.
And did you come up? See, there are obviously two approaches that we always hear of, right? Some founders we always suggest, and they themselves want to just talk to lots and lots of users, almost sell the concept before they build. And then there is sort of the Steve Jobs other end of the spectrum, which is I know I can imagine what the user wants. Let me design the product and then take it to them. Where were you guys on that spectrum?
We did speak to a lot of users. It's not like it was all.
Yeah.
It just appeared in front of us. We did speak to users. We wanted to see. I knew why. Once I spoke to so many people, I realized that I was no different. I went through same things in 20s, and everyone is going through the same thing. I come from small town. Family went through financial hardships. I started making good money. I went crazy. I spent crazy. I was in credit card debt. It was not much, like it was 80,000, 90,000 rupees, but I was only making 13,000 rupees. So 80,000 was a lot of debt for me. So I went through a certain journey in my first 2-3 years of my career, and I knew exactly how everyone else behaves. But I always take myself as a bad example. I think world is better than me. So we went and spoke to a lot of people, and while speaking to them, what we realized is intent is very high, financial literacy is very low. No one understands stock market, mutual fund, index fund, anything. Every product available in the market is only in English. It's very pretentious. It assumes, for example, if you catch hold of a common man and you talk about futures, he will think it's a horoscope. That's the level of understanding when it comes to financial services. So we figured out intent is there, means are very challenging, very friction, a lot of pretension is there. Education is not there, and no one teaches you how to manage money. Like no one taught you how to budget, how to plan, how to save, where to splurge, where not to splurge, how to have emergency fund. No one teaches you these things. So I felt everyone is sailing in the same ship. That validation we did do. We did speak to a lot of users, and where we spoke is not the Indranagar third wave. Where we spoke to people was Darshanis. I even there was a Zomato cloud kitchen near my home. I stationed there for almost 4 hours. I spoke to every delivery partner who came to pick up the order there. I asked them, "Do you have insurance for this bike?" Almost 90% said no. I asked them, "क्यों नहीं है?" लाइक 2,000-3,000 लगेगा, कौन लेगा, ऑफ दोस थिंग्स. दिन में कॉफ़ी और सुट्टा पे कितना खर्चा करते हो? 50 रुपये ईजिली चला जाता है. लाइक दे वर स्पेंडिंग 18,000 rupees on cigarette and coffee. They never thought that it just take 3 rupees a day to get a basic insurance policy for their bike. And they are the ones who are most troubled by cops during night and daytime and all of those things. So no one taught you how to budget, how to think, all of those things. So that validation we got. Like we figured out that it's not just me.
Yeah. So, I think again, in hindsight, it looks everything has gone perfectly. I mean, we'll go through some of the tough things you would have navigated. But at that same time that we're starting, I'm sure there were other apps. I remember there were, attempts to some part of what you said, make local languages. There used to be apps which would focus on the saving behavior, etc. What do you think you guys, I mean, did you look at other products?
Yeah, we looked. We didn't look at other products, but we simply started, to be very honest. And later we looked at other products. When we looked at other products, we realized what they are not getting.
What was it?
First thing is, everyone in this country who has built financial services comes from some certain level of privilege, either from education or wealth. You find the earliest guys who built the trading platforms, they started trading at the age of 14, 15 with their dad's money. So they apply the same yardstick that जैसा हूँ मैं हूँ जैसा वैसा सब लोग हैं. So everyone who was building in micro savings, they went to mutual funds on day zero. Like कौन किसको समझ में आता है mutual funds? No one understands mutual funds. What do you mean by ETF? I don't know what is index, what is this, what is that. No one understands any of those things. So we figured out what we did the best was to pick up asset class which a common man resonates with. You don't have to educate him what he is saving in. All his life he has saved in gold. So we just made it more efficient. That was the difference. That was the reason why where we survived. And everyone copied us by that time. But we had out executed everyone by then.
Yeah. And I think for the first 2 years when JAR started taking off, a lot of people wrote about it. I know my good friend Joel wrote a piece about it. I remember deliberately making, like, I think it's something like, by definition, fewer features, almost like just do one thing again and again and again and again, right? Was that in the product design? Because it's so easy to get caught up with, like, I need to have 15 different features.
Yeah.
Was that a very deliberate choice?
That's a deliberate choice, and I should thank one of the early product managers that we hired at Bounce. So when we had raised that $10 million first check from Sequoia, we were building beautiful app. And we got this guy from, there was a company called Good Box, I believe. He came from there. He was one of the co-founders there. He joined us as a product manager. He said, ये सब कुछ क्यों बना रहे हो? सब कुछ निकालो. Friction नहीं होना चाहिए. 2 minute में वो जाना चाहिए, ride होना चाहिए. And that has stayed with me. Here we made sure that I'll carry forward that principle with me. Like zero distraction. Like you get into the app, within 45 seconds, you should be up and running. Your first saving should be done. The delight should be delivered right there and then. The dopamine should hit, like you should feel that something is going to change in my life from today.
All right. So we'll mix it up a bit. And so so far we've talked about the journey and some of the core philosophy and principles that led to first phase of JAR. We'll now talk about the growth. But before that, just a show of hands, how many people are already building? Okay. And how many people are sort of in before day zero and early in their journey? Okay, all right, 1 or 2. And how many people building in fintech? Okay, and how many people generally building in consumer tech? Okay, a few more. Any questions at this point? First, that entire history of JAR, etc. Yeah, please say your name and
Yes. Hi, I'm Vivek. I'm building in skincare for men. Uh, Very interesting observation from you on marketing in specific regions. Would love to hear how you executed that digitally. Is
Yeah, what we did was by the time we started Jar, I had some 27,000 people following me on LinkedIn, and Misbah was some 40,000 people following him on LinkedIn. So we put up a post telling that we are looking for interns only from tier 2 towns and not engineering. To be marketing interns only from tier 2, it was very mandatory. So we got some 1800 people fill up our forms, all from tier 2 town, and we got one intern hired, and he started calling all of these guys. Only 700 people or 750 people, something like that, replied, and we created one WhatsApp group with each one of them. So we had 750 WhatsApp groups, and we gave them a task telling that you have to go add 100 people to this WhatsApp group from your hometown, जिससे आप दूध खरीदते हो, जिससे आप सामान खरीदते हो, आपके चाचा को, अपने पापा को, सबको ऐड करना है to this group, and we'll give you funny memes about money to post in this group every day. It's you. I'm a part of the, but you are the main kriya kartu of this group. And end of the day, we will give you a certificate telling that, oh, you completed internship. Sitting in, say, Jabalpur, you get that opportunity to be part of a startup and you get a internship completion certificate is a big thing for them. So that's how we cracked the first 1,000 users. So that 700 people did not result in like 7,000 users. It resulted in 1,000 plus users on day zero for us. This we started before we launched the product. This was at least 3 weeks into the launch. When the day of launch, they only told, I'm working. See, if financial services, India mein, no one does it by himself. Very few people have the tenacity to look at the balance sheet of a company, P&L, AGM, and think, okay, इस category, इस sector में दुनिया में ये हो रहा है, इसमें invest करना है. Everyone invest. चाचा ने बोला है, चाचा 20 साल से invest कर रहा है. और uncle है, like there is one guy in your team who has been into financial service and into investments for a very long time. So it's all social. Social proofing is maximum required in this. So if I come and tell you randomly to install this app and start saving, you will not do probably. But someone, your cousin who is still in college, he says, I'm part of this internship group, I want you to install. You will do it to help him, not me.
That's very clever.
That's how we cracked the first 1,000 users. And we didn't pay them anything. We gave them a nice certificate.
That's very clever. I mean, more questions? But it's very clever because I think the biggest thing is trust, right, in a financial app, and that's why if you talk to a lot of the fintech founders the last 10 years, I always used to hear like, I have to raise more money because I need to eventually go on TV to create trust. I have Amitabh Bachchan be my brand advertiser and all of that, ambassador. So there aren't many levers where you can actually, in that first phase, crack a significant number of customers to try out something, right?
Yeah.
But I never thought of it. Offering in the internship as a route is one of the things.
One of the things is trust is kind of misused and overused in this industry. I'll tell you what trust means, at least retrospectively. I didn't know this 3 years back, but retrospectively, I can tell you what trust means. Trust is amalgamation of everything that you do as a company. Meaning, first and foremost is, it's not user trusting you. It's user trusting himself to do something. I may be selling you an LIC insurance. You know LIC, massive brand, been around for ages. They will never default on your claim. And still, if I give you this thick booklet and ask you to sign, you're not signing that right there and then. You want to talk to 4 people. It's not because you don't trust LIC. It's because you don't trust yourself, because you are not well aware of what you're getting into. So we figured out how to make the product in such a way that where he feels comfortable कि उसको लगना चाहिए कि अरे ये तो मैं हमेशा करता हूँ.
It's a deep insight actually.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I am in the driver's seat. And how do I undo a particular step? How easy do I make in the product to undo a particular step? That gives you trust. What I mean by trust is, it's like brand. Who is the brand face? How fast is your app? Every time I open, like within a couple of seconds, will it open and do? How do you do exception handling? Say, particularly you're doing a transaction, it fails. What sort of message you give and what sort of consoling you give? How accessible are you in multiple languages? How accessible are you on multiple platforms? How accessible is your customer care? How many languages do they speak in? That's how you earn trust. Trust is like, it's like Amazon. You are comfortable ordering in Amazon because they have earned your trust not because I don't think anyone remembers any ad with a big star on Amazon. All you know is if I order there, I know it will come. If it doesn't come, they will refund. And if it comes, it's broken, they will refund. They will take it back. So that is the trust, and that's what we aspire to get to.
There was a hand up there. Yeah, please.
So you talked about it's about people trusting the results. So how you enable that thing?
Making it easy where if I say if you have never invested in mutual funds, is the first screen itself I talk about risk and all of those things. Risk, you don't even know what it is. There is a risk meter. You have never seen anything in that meter sense, right? For example, when something has to rotate, right, when something has to increase or decrease in a tier 2 town, the only thing that he has experienced is fan ka knob. It goes like
That
this.
is so fascinating.
So how do you pick up each one of these elements in your app where it induces trust? Like how do you celebrate a certain thing for him? Everything matters. That adds up. Like for example, if it is gold, right, you are buying gold. Like in case of ETF, gold ETFs, you open it. If you are using Paytm money or any app, open and go to gold ETF, you will not understand anything. You don't even know what you are buying. So it's about how do you make him feel that he knows what he is doing.
Was there something you did to, if I was a user, to make me more aware that I'm buying this small bits of gold every day?
Yeah, everything is themed around gold. It's a locker and we show gold bars right next to it. And now we are going much deeper. What I was telling, like very localized culture, localization to a particular geographic region. Like in South India, gold is measured in sovereigns, which is each sovereign is like 8 grams. In North India, it's tola. 1 tola is 10 grams. So if you have 40 grams, if you're a North Indian user, if you open the app, it should say you have 4 tolas. If you are in Tamil Nadu, it should say you have 5 sovereigns of gold. So how do you make those kind of localization? And that gives you more trust. That feels like, yeah, hamara yahan ka hai.
Yeah, super. Any other questions for now? Okay, please.
Yeah, Nishchay, I've been very curious about the due diligence and say the compliance processes that go along with doing any form of facility. So I think I set up the whole loan workflow. What kind of overheads do you see over there around say screen loan candidates in this around
Lending we don't do ourselves. We partner with existing NBFCs who offer it. I just have to comply by DLG, digital lending guideline, which we do. We have hired a couple of agencies. What we do is we always have a maker checker. For me stakes are high, so always a maker checker approach. You always have 2 agencies and both reports should say same. It's not going to cost you too much of money to get 2 people to do the check and give you a report.
Actually, on that point, is that just an evolution? You will eventually want to have an NBFC?
Yes. It's an amazing opportunity because end of the day, probably 12 or 13 rupees is still lended through formal channels. Rest 87 is still through hand loans and loan sharks. So there's a massive opportunity. And as and when the trust and aspiration goes up of a country, they'll start taking loan. I have this very simple philosophy that life runs on an eternal optimism, and credit is the manifestation of optimism.
Life runs on eternal optimism.
Yeah.
Credit is the manifestation of
that optimism. Like आगे आने वाला दिन अच्छा होता है, तो इसलिए थोड़ा इनकैश आज ही कर लूँगा. You dare to do that today because you believe in yourself that the future is going to be better.
Yeah.
So the way India is progressing, people are becoming more confident. They will dare to take loan. That's why credit is going to only grow big. So you have to be in that space.
Credit is a confidence product.
Yeah, it's a confidence product.
Cool. So going back to the phase 2. So let's say you had this Notion doc that I'm actually very impressed that
I hear that Notion doc.
I would love to. So actually, just so everybody understands, you're saying that you had mapped out the phases, and more or less, you feel like even the timelines have been more what you expected.
Timelines have not
changed.
That has changed.
What took longer?
Market forces took longer, to be very honest. I had running bonds for 7 years. We were ever optimistic about our own abilities, and we were super pessimistic about the world. If I have to deal with anyone, I'm always pessimistic approach that नहीं होगा है. हो गया तो लॉटरी है. ऐसे नहीं कि मैं जाके करके आ जाऊंगा. अगर मुझे कुछ करना है वो कर लूंगा मैं. That was the approach. And when we raised our Series A in Feb 2022, I was in US in April 2022. I was just trying to build a network of investors for future and all of those things. And I could see the cracks in the market by then. And I saw that winter is coming. Came back to India and we decided we'll raise Series B at whatever cost it is. Doesn't matter what valuation, we have to build a war chest so that we will outrun everyone. You just have to outlast. You have to outwork and outlast.
Nice, good one. Outwork and outlast. So when did you feel you had PMF? Or first of all, I think the interesting thing is you've talked about not product market fit, but almost doing this sort of feature by feature level. I think you've said something in some conversations. So explain that.
See, for me, product market fit is you need to think at each level, right? See, every feature is a product by itself. Your activation is a product by itself. Your retention is a product itself. Your engagement feature is a product by itself. Your exit channels is a product by itself. Everything is a product and everything has to achieve a PMF. For example, if activation, meaning if someone gets into the loop, what is the funnel? If there is 7 screens in your onboarding journey, what is the drop off at each screen? Every screen, mota 10% drop off hai market mein, standard hai. So how do you optimize that? How can you achieve that in 4 steps, 5 steps? You have to literally fight it out with everyone to make sure that you get an permission to add one more step into the journey. And once you hit the PMF, right, the return on investment will be non-linear. Till then it will be linear. Once you start seeing that I don't have to spend too much on product, I just have to spend on marketing to scale your business, that's where the PMF.
So what has this meant for the type of people you brought into your product team? Let's zoom into product culture and then we'll talk about distribution. So is there comparable stage, comparable, let's say, money raised? Do you feel like JAR's product culture is distinctly different in some ways?
To be very honest, it's an uphill battle to make most of the people within your company to understand whom they are serving.
Whom they're serving.
Yeah, because you get people, very simple. Most of your engineers are from good schools.
Yeah.
At least the early teams, IITs and all. The product guys are from probably ISBs and IIMs and all of these guys. Though they might have come from a middle class family, their parents have worked their ass off to make sure that they don't go through the middle class struggles. So they don't know. For example, say you are from tier 3 town, doesn't matter, and your family is really poor. You somehow got into IIT and you landed your first job. It's say 2-3 lakh rupees per month. So living in a big town, you never actually survived on small salaries. You don't know why an Infosys guy stays in a 7,000 rupees PG which serves him 3 foods. And if he's going out or partying on weekend, he will have 3 drinks at home so that he doesn't have to pay too much at the bar. He's just going to enjoy the vibe of that bar. It's very difficult to explain. And for me, the biggest challenge has been internally to sell the value proposition of why someone should invest in gold. Everyone is financially educated. Like, अरे म्यूचुअल फंड में करवाना है, क्यों म्यूचुअल गोल्ड में करवा रहा है? That has been a challenge. That still continues to be a challenge.
And do you consciously hire with these things in mind?
Or we hire with a mindset of, can I make him unlearn and learn?
And that's been sometimes a challenge.
Yeah, that's been. So when we were at Bounce, Raghu, who is the founder of Taxi for Sure, he was part of Axel portfolio. So he had come and spoken to me at length about how to build the initial product and all of those things. He told how they went on changing the firmware on their hardware, which was used as GPS machine on those cars overnight, and that I took with me as a learning. When we launched Bounce, it was too much of an asking from a consumer. Like, you have to register on the app, you have to upload your license, get yourself verified, then you have to book a scooter, then you have to walk up to the scooter, you have to learn how to unlock the scooter through that keypad that we had put in. And then start riding, end the ride, put the handle in a certain position and then lock the vehicle. So it was too much. So what we did in the early days was I dragged the entire engineering and product team to Bayapnali metro station and make them station there for a month. where they had to just watch how much the end consumer is struggling. So that we do here. I drag the product team and everyone की जाके नीचे वॉचमैन है ना उसको समझा के आ जाओ एक बार कि स्क्रीन में क्या हो रहा है उसको समझ में आया कि कुछ नहीं. So that helps them very fast. Now they ask if I bring in some fancy feature like ये हमारे यूजर को समझ में आएगा. They ask me उल्टा now.
But do you feel whether it, I'll come to the investor part in a second, but have you felt as you've grown that people are giving you you should go after a different customer now? Like you have a brand, you could go after someone who has more money, or how do you stay true to this persona?
See, my users, now it's very difficult to explain my persona of a user, to be very honest. Like if I ask you to explain the persona of a quintessential PhonePe user, it's impossible. We have gotten there now. We have users, there are a couple of users in Hyderabad who save 5,000 rupees a day on Jar. We have users who save 10 rupees a day in Jar. So we have users across the spectrum.
That's why I'm wondering, like, how do you keep true to that today?
It's like make it easy and make it fun. And one of the things is, to be very honest, most of the people live a thankless life. Most of the people. For example, say you're investing in mutual funds. Say you're investing in 5 mutual funds as you, and you have not opened that app for 5 months. If you open after 5th month, it will simply show you, tera portfolio aisa hai, bas. So in Jar, say you're saving every day. Say you're saving only 50 rupees every day. You open after 5 days. Before we show you anything else, first we show you is, since you last opened the app, you have saved 5 more times and you have accumulated so much more gold. Mast kar raha hai to. Like at least I will.
Yeah. And that's something which is also one of the things that people started noticing very early, right? You have to remind me of the stat, but there was a crazy stat about the percentage of your users who were opening it every day.
Yes.
Right? Maybe 1 year into it. What was it like? And of course, obvious question, how did you make that happen?
So we built multiple engagement engines within the product. Like we figured out that we have a content play. Right now, content is working really well. We produce 300 plus videos a month, which gets turned over 100 million views on all socials put together every month. All organic. And we made it fun, we made it engaging, we made it educative. Now every language channel fights with each other, like who got the highest views. There was Kannada channel had the audacity to make a video about owning a private jet in India. लाइक जार यूजर्स आप बोल रहे हो कि प्राइवेट जेट खरीदने के लिए कितना लगेगा, पार्किंग के लिए कितना लगेगा, फ्यूल के लिए कितना लगेगा, पायलट के लिए कितना लगेगा, 1 घंटा चलाने के लिए कितना लगेगा.
Like awesome.
So that kind of multiple levers that we engaged throughout. We built a feature called Shubh Muhurat because it was very cultural. Indians, people go buy on Dhanteras. No, they don't even think. They go buy. That's all. Akshaya Tritiya, they go buy. And we figured out if they do it for this, they'll do it for everything. So we took the Hindu calendar. There are 7-8 auspicious moments throughout the month. So we created an entire feature called Shubh Muhurat, where we simply tell next 2 hours 22 minutes is Shubh Muhurat. We don't tell Q Shubh Muhurat hai, kaun sa din hai. We let the goblins take over in their head and they come and invest. Average ticket size was 7x and average number of transactions per minute was 5x during that Shubh Muhurat.
Crazy. But go back to the first few months, right? The idea when you had just the auto pay thing and that stat I'm still trying to remember. It was like some 70% or something opening every day.
Yeah.
How did that happen? That's unheard of.
So we had something called spinable. Every time you save, you get a spin, and you spin it, and you may get 1 rupee worth of more gold. You may or may not get. So that kind of created the hook in the beginning days. That was a learning that I took from Tez and Google Pay in the early days. I got to know that India doesn't matter how rich you are, 1 rupee ke liye fight maroge. That was very clear. And when we were working with Bounce, we had a good integration with Google. And I met the guy who was heading Google Pay. He said his wife fought with him one day because she didn't get any cashback on Google Pay that day. Like, kya kuch de de unhe aap? He's like, he's heading Google India. And his wife is telling, आज कुछ नहीं दिया आप लोग. मुझे उससे learning था कि लोग 1 रुपए के लिए कुछ भी करेंगे.
That's fascinating. Okay, when did you think you had PMF? Like, we digressed from that earlier question, but I want to go back to, was there a point where you started to feel, yeah, this is great?
We had 2-3 markers which gave us the PMF. The first marker was, we promised we will save on behalf of you every day. That was the promise that we started with, right? And we were working on NPCI, UPI and all. When we started UPI autopay, success rate was 2%. So if I had 100 mandates, I was able to successfully debit only from 2 accounts. So rest of the guys, it was, and there were banks like ICICI where the success rate was always 100%. And there was this consumer who came and complained on Twitter that by 2-3 se कट नहीं रहा है क्या हो रहा है his problem was not like I was not charging him away, like you're not saving for me, what happened? That was the first one. Second one was I've not changed my phone number for last 20 years, and randomly this was in October 21st, Diwali. During Diwali, one of my classmates from my engineering days messaged me, and I was surprised that why is he messaging me after almost 15 years. And he said, dude, I just wanted to thank you. Like, why? What happened? Like, I know you started Jar, you posted on LinkedIn. So I installed the app. I started saving on Jar, and I bought a home which was 2.75 crores. And I went all in to do the interiors. पूरा credit card का last पैसा चला गया था. And then the Navratri was there. I spent a lot of money on, because first Navratri new home, वो भी पूरा हो गया था. Diwali was in 21 days. I was completely broke. I thought probably I will break my PF to get some money to do Diwali, or finally I will ask my dad for some money, which I have not done in last 15 years. And neither have asked any money from my wife till now, which since 10 years I've never done that. Probably I will have to ask money from my wife. Then suddenly I remembered that I have a jar and I had 23,000 rupees savings in that. He took out 10,000 rupees and his Diwali was good for him. So, that was like, the funny part was I took that entire conversation and posted in our Slack. And the designer who was working for us as a freelancer became a full-time. He moved from Pune to Bangalore. And he said he set up the old home, and it was Diwali was first week of November, I guess. This all happened on 27th of October, I guess. He said, dude, funny thing, I moved to Bangalore on 15th of October. I paid advance. I bought all interiors and everything. I was out of cash and I took out money from Jar. I did the same thing.
That's awesome, man. All right, this is so interesting because you have every question I ask, you have a story, which is really the best conversations. So I hate to speed it up a bit, but I know we are running behind time, and I want to make sure our audience gets more questions in. So I'll cover a few more things quickly. So I think in the interest of time, we won't go through every detail. Our goal was to spend more time on what worked in the first year.
So first year, what worked was distribution. We over-emphasized on distribution. We went on IPL within 9 months of launch of product. I don't think there's any product which has gone on IPL within the first 9 months.
Wow. And so walk us through, did you raise money obviously?
We had raised money by then. Tiger Global had invested about $30 million by then.
And, we had Adit from Zepto last 2 weeks back, and he made the same point. Before you have PMF, be super, super frugal.
Yeah.
Once you have PMF, you have to go very aggressively. Yeah. I'm assuming you feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were two aspects to it. PMF to aa gaya tha, but it's not just PMF, right? You have to have an entire machinery to support that scale. See, PMF means user is happy. That doesn't mean that you have built the system to manage scale. That doesn't mean that you have the operations to manage scale. That doesn't mean that you have the customer care to manage scale. And plus, on top of that, you need the entire infra in the backend to handle so many concurrent transactions, to concurrencies, to TPS, to everything. But still, we went ahead. We took a bold bet. The team was working like, I don't know how many hours they slept in office, how many times they slept in office, but they pulled it off the first campaign. We saw a 5x jump in that IPL campaign. After that, it was always up since then.
Fascinating. And apart from saying, look, let's build the machinery quickly, let's have the right team that works so hard, and let's raise the money at the right time and go aggressively. What has worked for distribution? I mean, I think we were chatting earlier about how much of product versus distribution. Questions people think is like two different things, but really product is distribution, right? And I think, would it be fair to say that most of your success has basically been because you guys executed very well on these simple things in the product?
Yes.
Or would you say that would still not have been sufficient had you not done some 3 or 4 other things?
Yeah, distribution is, see, it's the end of the day, it's a push product. It's not a pull product. No one is coming and Googling how to save today. No one is doing that. You have to penny drop that idea in their mind. That happens only through distribution. You have to bombard them with ads and all of those things. We are very clear that initially it is going to be a little painful on burn side, but once you have your core critical mass, you can become profitable, and that's what we did.
And how much have you raised so far?
We raised about $49 million.
And I mean, that's actually, compared to so many other startups, that's very efficient and you're profitable already. So how have you thought about like how much to spend on distribution, marketing, customer lifetime value?
To be very honest, most of your spend as an organization should be on distribution. Your payroll, everything should be very.
How many people do you have today?
We have 300 people today. That includes lots of interns, and we have built a very good engine of hiring interns and converting them into full time across every function: marketing, engineering, product design, everything.
So you turned on monetization at what?
No, we are monetization from day zero.
Day
The
zero.
scale of monetization was different. That's all.
And where is Jar today in terms of the next 5 years? So what are you looking at? What's your vision eventually?
My vision for Jar is we want to get to at least 100 million monthly
100 million monthly users
on the platform, and it's very much possible. It's very much we have identified what are the levers to execute to get there. From now on, CAC is working out really well. We are self-funded now because we are profitable. We are generating good cash and it's growing at 15-20% every month. So we are putting that money back into the business and we are continuously growing. Even though we are putting the money back into the business, we are making sure that we stay profitable. So the idea is to stay profitable and increase trust markers across and to give us a chance to get to 100 million users. That's what we are thinking for.
So it would not be fair to not cover the fundraising part a bit. So I know that the first round was still in the boom time of COVID, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So 2021. And so, I mean, would you say that of course helped a bit because you had something unique. There was enough capital go around.
So what we did was the first round was like, as I said, 24 hours. It was an angel investor who gave us 3 crores cash. But from there on, once we launched the product, it went a little bit of a viral. And once it went viral, a lot of investors reached out to us. And we also reached out to a few of the investors. And then we got the first round of funding and we ran as fast as possible with that money. There's like, can you behave like this is an undying resource? Like Akshay Patra hai, deta hi rahega. That's how the approach, to be very honest with it. The first $2 million we raised from an institutional investor, the way we spent our next 2-3 months in distribution is like, if the series A had not hit, we would be bankrupt. And from Series A to Series B, we became very.
You did take the risk, which is very important. I think sometimes we find that's the hard thing.
And what we did was because we were in startup space for so long, we had made a lot of friends, founders of other companies. We took as much. I mean, we never said no to any investor. Like a lot of capital bada ho jayega. Like how does it? You are not the one managing it. It's the CA and the company secretariat managing it. Like you are making more people have skin in the game. So we got a lot of angel investors, and what we did very religiously in the first 1 year, which by 1 year we had raised Series A, Series B, everything. But what we did very religiously for the entire first year is we sent a weekly update on a PPT, just a single slide on WhatsApp. That's all. It's like 5 numbers that they should remember that what Jar represents: number of users, number of transactions, total money came in, number of sessions and session time. That's all. And 3 wins, 3 ask. Don't tell हमने ये काम नहीं हुआ. बोलो भाई हमने ये 3 में मचाया, इन 3 में हमें आपका help चाहिए. Get me this, get me that, get me this. That's all. We send that every week, like week 1, week 2, week 3, week. We've spent up to 52 weeks. Every week we send it to every angel investor on the cap table.
Awesome. What has been the toughest point in this journey? Some things, because from the outside it looks like a major success.
The toughest point has been multiple. When you're building such a high growth startup, you get a lot of people with a lot of agency, and not necessarily everyone concur. From execution ideas to thesis to philosophy to everything, why the screen should be there, why, and it can become ugly fights. To be very, it becomes ugly fights. Second thing is the whole who's who of the industry has spoken in every podcast to every interview that सिर्फ 15 million लोग हैं इंडिया में जिससे आप पैसे कमा सकते हो. So now we are telling no, there is 200. मेरा philosophy very simple था. See, in India, assume 1 in 3 takes bath every day. That means 500 million people are taking bath every day. उतना soap तो बिकना ही है.
Hopefully many more.
Half the people brush every day. 750 million people are brushing every day. Like, are you telling that they're not spending money? So पैसा तो है, it's just that तमीज होना चाहिए पूछने का लोगों से. So हमने बोला
I thought you were going to say something like, you have to find the right at unit economics.
तमीज होना चाहिए.
तमीज होना चाहिए.
कुछ नहीं. And that was a fight for us all the way. They were like, on the one hand, RBI is telling, "Bhai, आप मचा रहे हो, UPI transactions to this level we have never seen in the past." At the same time, there is one VC is telling, "I heard that all your numbers are fake." I'm like, क्या हो रहा है? Because they are not able to believe that there is India beyond Bangalore and Kormangla. And to be very honest, I will tell you a most interesting fact. In last 12 months, we have sold more gold than the entire ETF market put together.
Wow.
And I sent him that stat after 3 years. I waited for 3 years to send him that stat.
It's amazing. It's truly amazing. So the toughest points have been you're talking about the frustration within the team and sort of strong opinions, etc.
Yes. One is at a low level, low level in the sense people who are doing everyday job, the product designers, to make them sensitized to whom they are serving. Second is leaders to align on same things. And we were complacent at times, like you should have fired someone 3 months before, but you took 3 months more.
Yeah, and if you don't mind me asking, because I know you and Misbah, how have you grown as leaders? Because you guys strike as nice guys, strike people as like
He's
nice.
PLA to my team. Between me and Misbah, we are clear. He's people's person. I make people cry. He gives shoulder to cry. So that's how it goes.
That's good. That clarity is very important. Okay. Again, people will kill me if I don't ask about AI. So, what does AI mean to JAR today?
See, one of our investors has a US endowment fund, Carnegie Mellon, as one of their LPs, and their professors were in India. They wanted me also to interact with them. I was interacting with them, and they were also all ETF, mutual funds, and all of those things. And I told him that, sir, you're not getting. So I had to explain it in his language. I told him, suppose I pick a student from a community college and putting him in your class, Carnegie Mellon, one of the Ivy schools in the world. Like, you expect him to be more studious, put in more effort, catch up with the syllabus, catch up with the rest of the guys, right? Like, yes, sir. That's where you're wrong. Like, you're not thinking that there's a special kid in the class. Let me see if I can dumb down some things for him. Let him set a different testing standards for him, because it's not about where you end. It's about where you started and how far you want. And that's what JAR is all about. It's like giving an opportunity for someone who does, by share में मचा रहा है, मस्त धंधा कर रहा है, mutual fund समझ में नहीं आता उसे. He has done gold and land all his life. I have made it simple for him.
If there is one thing you would have done differently?
Probably raised a little less.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
At what stage?
Series A. Probably at a little lower valuation.
Oh, okay. That's always.
I asked for higher valuation and they gave it because it was 2021.
2021. Yeah.
Why?
Huh?
Why is that?
2021.
Why I should have raised at a lower valuation? When market gets corrected, you will be valued on your revenue. Back in the days, to be very honest, I got 600x multiple on my revenue. So makes no sense.
And you've talked to so many other founders, right, who've gone through this. I'm sure you'll agree. Way more people regret just raising at high valuation.
Yeah,
I don't ever meet like, oh, I raised at too low a valuation. That's pretty rare.
Yeah, and you should raise less money because more control and less stress. You're not in a rat race.
So this is exactly why we've designed the antler construct. Okay. So I have a few rapid fire things to finish off, but before that, we'll open it up to the audience. Last week. Okay. Sushmit.
My name is Sushmit. I work at Answer. Two questions. Why I remember talking to someone who was there. It was chief custody officer at here. Is that right?
Yeah. And
How do you come up with what's the funder behind? So in the drivers also have.
so that was something that every company across the globe copied that strategy around. We basically understood how LinkedIn algo works, and we cracked that. So we had to build much more engagement engines. So we felt everyone lend money to their friends and family. Asking for that money back is little ugly awkward conversation. You give money to your friends and family. Asking for that is a very painful thing. So we thought we'll build a nice fun feature where you put in an entry telling that मैंने इसको इतना पैसा दिया है और इसने इस तारीख को वापस देने का प्रॉमिस किया है. मान लो yes promise to pay me on April 1st. So on March 31st we send out a funny message from jar to that guy. Bye de de baba. We used all memes from Hera Fairy to welcome to everything, and we like de de re baba. We made all that fun, and we wanted to market that feature. And I told the marketing team, "Ki come out with something crazy. I'll not give you any marketing budget." Then they identified that the way LinkedIn works, the way LinkedIn is in early days of its trying to win their DAU, MAU. So they had to make people open app as much as possible. So give them as much validation as possible. And it will show your content. Anything getting a little bit of traction will show it to everyone in the world. So we made everyone change their designations to Chief Vasuli Officer, Chief this, Chief that, and all of those things, Vasuli Baba and all of those things. And it went crazy well. And Zomato did that. Many other companies did that post that.
Second quick question is, when you started on your journey, you had the typical BC question of CAC versus LTV. And it didn't look so obvious like that.
मेरा आंसर भाई सिंपल था. भाई मैं बनिया हूँ, मैं पैसा बना लूंगा, डोंट वरी. Fair answer. That was my answer. I didn't put it in the pitch deck.
Okay, what do founders who are not Baniyas do?
You have to find your strength and say like it's. You have to find your strength and tell, "Was paisa to मैं बना लूंगा. I'm starting the company to make money, not anything else. We will figure out how to make money."
But just to, did you? Of course, I believe that worked. But did you have it mapped out to some extent how it worked?
Yeah, we had mapped. We had tell this, but you have to back it up with data.
With credit, you mean eventually?
No, not just credit. Even in gold, we make crazy money. So what we did was we took the entire user base, split it across multiple categories, and tell इस user से इतना revenue आएगा, इससे इतना आएगा, इतना आएगा. Where not everything looks the way we had projected, but it worked out for us.
Thank you.
Nishchay, so I saw the journey of Jara. It's very nostalgic. Like, as a kid, you used to save it 50 banks, and only at the last resort, you used to break it. So is that urge the key, because you're at the part 100 million users, to target to these kids? Because a lot of school do kids as well. Like, is there to target this because they might save like few pennies, and once they become the future users, their portfolio would be kind of pretty good, and they will not also come over withdraw fast.
See, you have to make the parents say first. Kids,
But
bye.
parents will also be facilitators, right?
That's 1% behavior, to be very honest. The top 1% population, we all belong to that. We feel that. So that's what I meant. The rest of the world thinks like everyone is like us.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. Love the conversation. Can you walk us through like the user acquisition tactics you took across various like per 1,000 users?
So first 1,000 users is that, but from there on, it was a complete push product. We did performance marketing. What we did different in performance marketing is we have set up a factory kind of a approach. We produce insane amount of content which will be used as performance marketing videos or this one, and we do continuous learning from that. If there's a creative which is performing better, we call those users who came through that ad and we ask them, क्यों आया, क्या अच्छा लगा कि आप आए? And we also talk to people who did not come, who came from bad performing ads. कि आपको इसमें क्या समझा कि आप आ गए. So we took all those learnings and we reiterated. We produce 400 plus videos and for ad assets which run on every month. So that worked for us, and it was continuous ruthless execution there. Everyone can tell you anything. It's just ruthless execution. It works. We always expect that kulja sim ho jayega, khajana mil jayega. Nahi. It's just ruthless execution.
And the audience who were targeting performance marketing work,
Commonly,
you took more of these WhatsApp group strategy.
that was only in the early days. After that, it was pure push, brute force.
You had this guy work for the I-20, and it's all the best chats I talk to with human understanding and insights.
Very abstract question, but when you take 2-3 steps back, how do you think about customer research, right? When you talk to a consumer, what are things that are important to you? What are some frameworks that you follow? What would be a good, user research world versus a lot more user research work? You just wanted to understand that.
See, when you ask a question to anyone, right, they try to be the best of their version, not the what they really are. So your dashboards are the best consumer insight tools rather than talking. Do you really want to do customer research? You should do it on the streets, not on a phone. You should do it on the streets, not on a phone. Because if I ask you how good were you student, you will tell मस्त पढ़ता था मैं. सेव करना चाहते हैं? हाँ करना चाहता हूँ. So people will not be truthful. I mean, you should be very comfortable that people will not be truthful. Just because they want to portray that they are good, they're better.
Okay, more questions before we finish? Yeah.
I have another one. You had a very people do not think about finance. At least masses don't think about finance till certainly big milestones. कुछ खराब हो गया या कुछ खरीदना है. So same way, another area is health. Like people do not think about health unless they got sick. And you have a very nice viewpoint on things. So do you have any insights on how can we change that behavior in health?
Health is, sadly, it's given to you free of cost. You have to do to protect it, not gain it. Like you need to figure out right levers to evoke that emotion in the people. Because and you need to figure out what age group do I catch. It's very difficult to sell an insurance for a 20-year-old. उसको लगता है कि मैं ही राजा हूँ, सब सही है लाइफ में, इंश्योरेंस के लिए पैसा क्यों फोकट में खर्चा करना है. So it's very, you need to figure out either you are selling insurance or health products. So in both the cases, you have to make it cool. That's the only way you can make them use it. Like multivitamin in US, the journey of multivitamins happened in US. The way it happened is, it was always there. It was used for big surgery, cancer, or you're completely weak because of something else. They give you multivitamins to survive and all. But the industry तो setup हो गया, factory तो setup हो गया, सबको बेचना है, तो they looked for levers. जैसे कि they run ads. Like, trust me, everyone is tired in this room. If I ask you, are you tired? You may not say yes in front of everyone. Google ad पे हाँ मैं tired हूँ, मुझे पता है. तो multivitamin आपको, you don't have enough vitamins in your body. So it's very easy. Now something which was sold to 0.1% population, suddenly the market become, so you have to find your right story. That's all. It's all stories that will sell it.
Yep. The world is made of stories, not atoms. Yeah.
Nishchay, one more. I feel like you have a very strong point of view on who your customer is. So do you try to appeal to, like, say, a coin high glow user at all, or do you like, how do you see that?
I did not know how to articulate that answer, but thanks to Sajid Pai in his Indus Valley report, he articulates it very well. If you build a product for tier 1 India, tier 2 and tier 3, it's very difficult to make them use it. And if you build a product for tier 2 India, tier 1 may use it if it is good, but tier 3 will never use it. But if you build a product for tier 3 and make it so classy and easy to use, everyone will use it. I think retrospectively, I think that's what worked for us.
Okay, last few. Any? Otherwise, I'll finish with a. All right, last question.
So I was using the jar app today and I placed my order for the gold coin. And it said to me that the manufacturing will start and it will take like 12 to 50 working days. So I got curious, like, how will that work operation? Like, do you work with a third party to outsource this link the picture? Or
No, manufacturing is always third party. Even the biggest brand in the country, Tanishq, manufactures only 4% of their total volumes themselves. Rest is all outsourced. There are big manufacturers in Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, and Gujarat and Rajasthan. Those are the ones who manufacture for everyone. They manufacture for Tiffany's, they manufacture for Tanishq, they manufacture for us. And because we are digital only, I don't have the stress of sitting on the inventory. I don't have the inventory carrying cost. And since my users trust us, say if you randomly open a website and order something, and that's why precious metal, if they say 15 days, you jittery lagta hai. But if you are using a jar for last 6 months and you order something, pata hai, aa jayega. So we add that liberty to be at ease.
and it's also listed on Zepto, right? Like,
Yes.
so वहाँ पे कैसे how you guys make?
So once you build the engine, you have to go sell it in as many. I mean, now we started Nake as a sub brand under Jar. Now we are nurturing Nake as a brand of its own, where making it aspirational enough for Jar users to buy from there. So we will build it like the Tanishq, a digital Tanishq of the world. We will be available on every e-com platform to D2C platform, like every quick commerce platform to everywhere.
So normally you guys will handle the jewelry.
No, there are specialized operators in the space. thanks to the Tanishks of the world who has nurtured this industry, I'm just plugging into that.
Like SQL things.
SQL, Blue Dart, Brinks, everyone handles precious metals.
Super. All right. Let's finish with a bunch of rapid fire questions. You've said you want Jar to be a generational company. What does that look like in one sentence?
Should outlast us.
Should outlast you guys.
Yeah.
What's the boldest decision you've made at Jar that paid off?
Going aggressive in early days. From a spend standpoint, we were not afraid to lose it all.
Do you have, you or Miss Bar have a couple of mentors that have made a big difference?
Oh, actually, we have a lot of them. For every particular thing, I go to someone to talk to. Now, I want to hire an independent board of director. So I reached out to Mithun Sampath from Cred. Like, sir, I don't even know how to do this interview. Like, you're interviewing someone 50 plus who has been something and all in his life. What sort of questions should I ask him? Should I ask him for आपका 5 year का goal क्या है? I don't know what to ask him. So we do have different set of advisors. I go to Rahul Chari when it comes to running the engineering organization. I go to different set of people and I shamelessly ask.
Who's a founder you look up to in India the most?
Actually, both Samir and Rahul Chari from PhonePe, amazing execution, staying away from every sort of limelight. I think if he's walking on the street, no one identifies that Samir and that Rahul.
You've spent time with Nitin Kamath as well?
I'm actually meeting him in next 2 hours.
Okay, great. Tell him we say hi. But curious, what's the number one thing you've learned from him? From him?
Nitin?
Yeah.
Nitin Kamath, his core team is with him till now. For me, the entire leadership team and the guys who built the actual scalable model, they're with me till now, and I will make sure that they remain with me forever.
What's the number one thing you've learned from Kunal Shah?
Brand.
Okay. If you read, is there a book that has made a big difference?
I'm not startup books guy. I read a lot of fiction. I love fiction.
That's even better.
Yeah. And for me, the most favorite book forever, I always have a copy, 3 copies of it, one in office, one in home, and one in my reading room, which is Calvin and Hobbes.
Okay, got it. Calvin and Hobbes.
Best life lessons.
What do you do for fun?
I drive. I love to drive.
Where in Bangalore?
I do long distance driving also.
I figured. What's your favorite productivity hack?
Last minute stress.
You're last minute. You like me. If not this, would there be something else you would build?
I had gotten very close to it back in 2019-20. I want to have my own constellation of low Earth orbit satellites.
Constellation of low Earth orbit. Okay. So space would be if you had
no, not space. I want no space, no rockets. I just want satellite. 28 satellites is what I want to have in low Earth orbit, so that there are a lot of services that you can deliver at a very low cost.
And if you weren't a founder, what profession would you have chosen?
Sorry.
If you were not a founder, what profession would you have chosen?
Actually,
continue doing what you were doing?
Yeah, everything is an accident. I never chose anything.
Okay. And how would you, Nishchay, like to be remembered as?
Made some difference to the world. That's, to be very honest, that's the only thing. Actually, I literally don't care. I literally don't care. I'm.
We have to ask these corny questions.
No, to be very honest, even within the
some people give a very profound answer.
Yeah, within the company also, I tell that I am CEO because I am CEO. If there's a better person, I'm happy to walk away.
Yeah. But
do right for the company.
So your first answer was, I want to make a difference, make the world a better place.
To be very honest, I don't.
Then he was like, I don't care.
For me, to be very honest, world really doesn't care about.
I think you're both of them actually, and you are making a difference already. Thank you so much. This was a lovely conversation.